We consider the following to be a product of the times. Thusly, there is occasional discussion of the COVID-19 pandemic throughout. We understand that not everyone is in a position, whether mentally or emotionally, to expose themselves to such content. Please do what's right for you and take care of yourself. That being said, this is a show about movies and TV. We do not intend to take ourselves too seriously. But there may be occasional spoilers. We hope you enjoy the show.
I love you.
In this episode, you will notice a whistling in the recording. This was our first crack at recording in this style, and mistakes were made. We hope to have these issues remedied in the future. We thank you for your understanding. Now, without further ado, our inaugural episode.
Hello! Welcome. We're green and faceless on the couch. I'm the Green Traveler.
I'm the Faceless Leone. So, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So the Rona's going on, and you're quarantined.
Yeah.
I'm working, but mostly quarantined. And
doing what we can.
I proposed a threesome. Let's watch 3 movies and let's talk about them.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So, you guys are probably out there like stuck on your couch. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to tell you rather what is worth your time when you're streaming videos. So we're going to talk about 3 movies. They all happen to be by the same directors. Who and what movies are we doing, Greg?
Well, yeah, like with the coronavirus going on, we figured, comedy's probably the best place to start right now. Shit's pretty crazy out in the world, and slapstick's pretty good place to start if you just need to relax and take some steam off. So we're starting with the ZAZ best
Triumvirate.
Triumvirate. Their trilogy of films. That's Airplane, Top Secret, and Naked Gun. Top Secret's not really one of their well-known comedies, but
a lot of people who are really into them count it among their favorites for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And it's worth it.
I personally had never heard of it. Yeah, it's worth it. I would say If we go ahead up front and say it's worth your time, it's fun.
All 3 of them are worth it, really.
Yeah, they're fun. They are older movies, so there is some things that aren't going to resonate with you, and possibly a few things that might make you upset. But you look at it through a lens that this was made quite some time ago. Our culture has evolved.
Yeah.
So
and a lot of the jokes too, like some of the beauty of this. I shouldn't just say ZAZ. It's David Zucker, Jerry Zucker, and Jim Abrahams are the 3 directors, and Zucker, Abrahams, Zucker makes ZAZ, and but the beauty of ZAZ is that a lot of their jokes, they're just like, they take everything, they don't hold back, they just throw everything at the movie. It's like a lot of the jokes are really stupid, maybe they're offensive now, but it's just like it was done in such like a joy for comedy. It's just like everything's just thrown at the wall. They didn't hold back at all.
These guys, they're at no point when in the time that they were making this movie were they saying people better take this seriously.
Exactly.
These are some goofy movies. And they're great, and we got one, and they're filled with great people. Like I'm gonna say his name wrong because I always say people's name wrong. Leslie Nielsen.
I think that's right.
Yeah, actually, that's right. He's hilarious, and
Oh man.
And really these things, like, they kind of really solidified that he could do the comedy stuff. I really haven't watched too much of his older stuff, but
Yeah,
like
no,
this is what got him in all those goofy movies.
I only know him as a comedian.
Oh yeah, and I mean
I
for
haven't.
good reason. He's
Yeah.
hilarious.
And it's just
but
like he's hilarious because he's so dramatic. He's
yes,
so deadpan.
exactly. Yeah, he knows how to deliver a line as if he was saying it seriously. He's taking it seriously. If anybody's taking it seriously, it's Leslie Nielsen.
Right.
Yeah.
And I found out also with Airplane that Christopher Lee was up to play his role.
Oh really?
Instead. Yeah.
That would have been great. I think that would have also been great, but it would have taken away from how much love Leslie Nielsen deserves. Excuse me for this.
Words have Rona.
Oh no. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of greats in these movies that, people of our generation aren't necessarily super familiar with, except for Leslie Nielsen, I would say.
Neeson.
Yeah. I'm going to keep on saying that, too.
Except for Liam Neeson.
Yeah. So the only movie that he is not in is Top Secret.
Yeah.
Unless there's some
But I
cameo
feel like
in there that I didn't realize.
No, he's not in it, I don't think. But it's like also, I feel like there was a character, I can't remember which one, but I feel like there's a character he could have played if they wanted him to.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But, maybe he was doing something else. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't look into that.
But, anyways, maybe we should go chronologically and
start with Airplane.
talk about Airplane. Yeah, I don't know. Do we want to hold our opinions for the end? Well, I guess it's an opinion show, so they're going to be all throughout.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's fair to say up front that Top Secret and Naked Gun are facing a huge obstacle for me, and that is that Airplane was one of the first comedies I watched. Like my brother and I watched that when I was probably 7 years old, or like maybe even younger.
Much later for me. I was I think actually it was when we were rooming together in college.
Oh yeah, and I showed it. I showed it to you. I feel like when you first watched it, a lot of the jokes fell flat too.
Yeah, because I wasn't expecting the level of the physical humor.
Yeah.
Also, like, I do have one problem with this movie is that there is one running gag that's a suicide gag, and that really did kind of rub me wrong the first time I watched it. I mean, I understand why somebody would think it's funny. I mean, it's set up great. It just
he just talks them all to death.
Yes, he talks them to death, and
he's just such a boring person.
Yes, I mean, like, everybody knows somebody that is like that in their life, and so I understand why it's comedy gold to some people. It's just
Well, he's just it's just like he's the sad sap. He's like What We Do in the Shadows. He's the energy vampire.
Yeah. It's the Colin Robinson of Airplane.
Yeah.
This is the
I do
hero
definitely understand that.
About.
Ted Stryker, was that right?
Yeah, that's not
played by
Ted
Robert
Stryker.
Hayes.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And I mean, everybody does a great job in this movie. Oh my God, that's when my drinking problem started. Oh man, that's so good. We're there's so many jokes in this movie that we can explain a couple of jokes, and
we should probably set the movie up first, though, shouldn't we?
Oh yeah. Like, what is the movie about? That's great. You want to go ahead and give it short?
It's fairly simple, but it's just like, I mean, it's basically the entire plot's taken from another movie that I've never seen. I don't remember what it's called either. But it's just like they took the entire plot and it's just what would you call Ted Stryker?
He
He's a veteran,
he's
right?
he's a Air Force vet,
Yeah,
flew fighters, and he he had this mission that he
yeah,
just
botched.
completely failed. Just botched it, and it becomes a bit throughout the whole. He hasn't
Yeah,
flown since.
he's got
So he's afraid of planes. He
got
hasn't been on
PTSD.
a plane since
Yeah,
that.
and but
Yes.
he follows his true love, who is, I don't remember her name in the show, but it's played by Julie Haggerty. I think it's Elaine is her character's name, and she's a stewardess on an airline, and he's terrified of flying, but against all of his fears, he jumps on in, gets he buys a ticket, gets a flight.
Yeah. And so that puts him on the plane, and then everything goes awry without giving too much away, and to where he is put in a position where he needs to fly a plane.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
problem.
I think we should say there's a disease.
Yeah, there is. Yes, there's like some form
Yeah.
of food poisoning. I don't think
They ate
it's
the
an old
fish.
movie, so
They ate the
give it a
fish
little
so
bit
cleanly.
of yes, they ate the fish, and it wasn't good, and that's why the Doctor
Rumak.
Rumak. Yeah,
Who
I don't know if I'm saying
best
that right,
entrance.
but that's Leslie. That's Leslie's
It's
yes,
so funny.
yes.
Sorry, yeah, it's Leslie Nielsen playing the Doctor, and they're looking for a doctor on board the plane, and one of the passengers is like, "Oh, stewardess, I think the man sitting next to me is a doctor." And she comes over and she's like, "Are you a doctor?" And it cuts to Leslie Nielsen. He's just wearing a stethoscope on a plane for no fucking reason.
Yes, ma'am, I am a doctor.
And one of the things I love most about the entire one of his running gags throughout the entire movie is how he takes everything literally. Someone is
Yes,
he's like, "We gotta
completely
land at a
literally.
hospital," and he's like, "What's that?" He's like, "It's a big building with patients." It's just like, God damn it! Don't call me Shirley.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of one of the later ones. Yeah, Don't Call Me Shirley is great. I think that's kind of
Yeah,
part of meme
definitely. That
culture,
one's
and
known
I'm
by
pretty
everybody.
sure the world knows. Yeah, the world knows that one. Anywho, I think that it is a well worth
Oh yeah, and it's
movie
just like,
for sure.
okay,
And go ahead. Oh, I think that you already kind of said that for you, the Airplane is definitely
oh
in
yeah,
the
like
top
going into this
of
threesome,
these three.
I had a very biased opinion on which movie I thought would bring the most to the threesome, and
Right.
I would admit I am biased there. But I've only seen Naked Gun once before this. I hadn't heard of Top Secret until about a year ago, maybe. And with Airplane, it's like that was a movie my brother and I watched a lot. Like we loved all those slapstick
Yeah.
comedies. We watched, Soul Plane. Uh,
We were a big fan
oh
of the
yeah,
Stooges in my
yeah,
house.
old school.
Yeah. So I definitely
It
grew
was
up
like,
with it.
well, it's like also,
Um,
my cousin lived with us for a little while. And me and him watched Scary Movie, like all of those, and we loved those
oh
movies.
yeah.
In fact, one of the directors of this uh, directed Scary Movies 3 and 4, um, which I didn't know until
Yeah.
I watched these movies and found that out. So that was pretty fun. But like, I've always loved Airplane. It's one of my favorite comedies. Like, I was excited to show you. It's like whenever I find somebody who hasn't seen it, that or Blazing Saddles, like those are two comedies I think just have to be watched.
Yeah, I think so. And there's still some good social commentary and
Oh yeah.
Blazing Saddles for sure. But
Well,
I
we'll
guess we're
talk
not
about
talking
that
about that.
someday.
If there's social commentary in Airplane, I'm not sure
Oh,
what it is, but
well,
I don't think there
I
has
feel
to
like
be.
this movie definitely inspired a lot of my feelings towards like religion. You know, it's like when you see like the Jehovah's Witness or like
Oh,
Mormons or Christians or
oh
anybody
no,
coming at you
dude,
with pamphlets or
yeah.
something, you just immediately just like you hunch your shoulders. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, I usually end up talking to it,
Oh, I do too,
but
but at the same time, it's like deep down, there's that like, oh God,
oh yeah, it's like,
no.
oh, I don't have the time for
It's
this
like I don't want to
today.
deal with this right now. Just hand me your pamphlet and keep walking. But no, it's just like because there's a
Horrible
moment.
but true.
It's such a great moment though in this movie where oh, what's Rex Kramer? Um,
Oh yeah,
they
Rex
call him
Kramer
yeah they
is
call him
really
in to talk Ted Stryker through the landing, and Rex Kramer's played by Robert Stack, and he's so like he's in like everybody in this movie is a great actor, but it's just like Robert Stack is one of the best ones in this movie. Um, you know, down from Leslie Nielsen, of course, who I feel like I think we're in agreement that he's the
he's
best part of this movie.
he is the best performer for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely, he's definitely the one who sticks out the most. Um, but you know,
But it's like,
Otto,
oh yeah,
the autopilot.
the autopilot's
Uh,
fabulous.
yeah, it's fucking great.
That and surprisingly, like I don't want people knocking on my parents for letting me watch this when I was young, but it's like I didn't get that joke as a kid. Like I
Oh yeah, yeah.
maybe that's a
Well, because
statement on
it's
me,
plastic.
but
Well, it's plastic also. So if you are a kid watching this, which I don't know. I definitely was not allowed to watch it when I was a
yeah.
kid, but I was allowed to watch a lot of things.
This might be one of them that we slipped under my parents' radar.
It might be. It's like, oh, it's Airplane. I remember it's goofy. It's silly. It's fine. But there's a bunch of boob and boner jokes. Uh, My parents, no, you're good. My parents, like, there were so many things they didn't let me watch. They, especially on my dad's side, they were very religious. My mom, not so much, but she
Oh,
just,
so if your family's listening, I probably am irritating some of them with my talk earlier.
oh no, like, I don't know. I think I mean, they really know that I'm not a religious
Yeah,
person. Personally, I don't. I think that faith can be really good for some people. Um, I
I
really
agree.
do think that it's very helpful for people in a lot of different ways. I just decided that the faith I was in, it wasn't a great fit for me. Um,
Fair.
but anyways, I think that my parents were a little too restrictive in what they allowed me to watch, especially compared to what kids are able to get away with
Right,
today.
seriously.
I swear.
Oh man.
I mean, like they have full access to the internet all the time. I mean,
Right,
they don't have to wait like 2 minutes for something to load up on a
right.
page before their
Yeah,
parents show up.
my parents were pretty relaxed. I remember my mom one of the earlier movie memories I have is watching Indiana Jones Temple of Doom with my dad.
Oh
And my
yeah,
mom, like during the Kali Ma scene at the end, my mom was just like, no, 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 cover his eyes. And so my dad like kind of covered my eyes, but he also like held his hands like slightly open so I could see it. Because he was just like, no, this kid's gonna watch this later. Like, we own the damn
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You'll figure
And then
out a
like,
way.
and then later on, mom didn't want us to watch Lord of the Rings, and then she walked in on my brother and I like watching it on TV, and we were like, "Oh, it's the
That's the
edited version, it's the
best.
edited version. Don't worry about it." And, you know, and she was just like,
I
I think that was like when she was just like, "All right, whatever. I can't stop them watching movies." Like,
right, right. I the Lord. So my stepmom was religious in the way that she would latch on to certain things and be like, yes, there is scripture inside of this. And because like there are some major allegories in Lord of the
Yeah.
Rings, she allowed us
Oh,
to
nice.
watch that. Yeah. So yeah, I watched that. My dad was like, I don't know why you guys want to watch this. Like, he's like, this is the weirdest shit.
We'll talk about that beauty someday for sure. Like, I kind of want to read them again though. We have a book club, me and Blake, where we're reading through Lord of the Rings, so it'll be a while,
Yeah.
but we'll get through them
So
and we'll watch the movies again.
we'll get through them. Yeah, we're halfway through Fellowship
Yeah,
at this time. Maybe we'll check in from
this time
to
next year maybe.
on that. Yeah, this time next year. Yeah, it's my fault, folks. I get behind, and
No,
then,
don't do that.
but usually, well, yeah,
We have busy schedules.
We do.
Yeah. Even if we are quarantined, we're still doing a lot of things right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is the main reason why we're doing this is because
which we should probably get back to.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. But that's half the fun of being in podcast form is that it can become a conversation.
I know. I was just saying,
done with it?
just joking. No, I was just joking and getting back to it.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we'll get back to it. Yeah, it was a good segue, and I ruined it. That's what's going on.
No, calm down. I do remember what I was talking about though was Robert Stack, the guy who plays Rex Kramer. Because we were talking about that religious scene, and he walks. They call him. They call him in to help Ted Stryker land the plane, and when he enters the airport, he's just bombarded by these missionaries and or there's some monks in there.
Yeah, I think they're mostly like new wave religion. Things like the kind
Church
of things
of Scientology
that were popping
was
up.
mentioned.
Yeah, everything that was popping up in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah. And they're just bombarding him with all their like pamphlets. It's like, yeah, can you spare a minute to talk about this? Can you do this? And he's just punching them left and right and gets into a full-on fight. And just, oh man. But it's like, you watch that as a kid, and I was just like, yeah, that is how I feel when they approach me.
Oh no. Well, see, if I had watched it as a kid, because I was fully involved with the church activities.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was too as a kid, honestly.
Yeah. Well, I guess
I guess it really just depends. For friends though than for religion.
Oh right, yeah. I honestly thought at one point in my life that I would become a preacher, but that is neither here nor there when it comes to airplane. Well,
there was priests needed on that plane. They had their moments.
Yeah, that's true.
There was a nun.
That's true. I tapping her on the shoulder and saying, "Let me do this." Just slapping her back and forth.
Lady freaks out, and they just help. Their idea of helping her is to slap her, and then there's a whole line of people with weapons ready to help her out.
So I can good. All right. Well, I think we should probably have a closing statement on Airplane. You go ahead.
Yeah, closing statement. We'll come back to it at the end because it's like I don't want to say up front that this is my pick of the best of the threesome. We still got 2 more movies to talk about, but I do love Airplane so much. The jokes are just constant. There's so many that they won't land with everybody. There's a lot that just don't land with me anymore. I've watched it so many times, but it's so funny still. Like. For every joke that
new jokes.
Exactly. For every joke that fails, there's gonna be like 3 more that you find funny the second time around. Like
exactly.
As a kid, and for most of the times I've watched it, I never got the Mayo Clinic joke. It never clicked with me. They call the Mayo Clinic to get help with the disease, and it cuts over to a doctor, and it's a very serious scene, and he just he's just like, yes, this is what's going on. Blah blah blah. But in the background, the wall is filled with mayonnaise jars. Yeah. And, it's like, that's the thing with ZAZ that they do so well is they do a lot of background humor. That I think it becomes more prevalent as they go on in their movies. but there are some of those moments in Airplane, and those are jokes that you pick up on repeat watches or viewings because it's like the first time you're just laughing way too much, and a lot of times you're just laughing because you feel like an idiot. You're just like
yeah,
this,
yeah.
like the dumbest humor.
It's like, why am I laughing at this?
Yeah, it's just the dumbest humor, and you're just laughing at it, and you're like, oh man. But yeah, I definitely recommend. One of my favorite comedies. We'll find out if it maintained my bias.
All right, sounds good.
What do you think of it?
Yeah, I think that definitely worth a watch, and I like you gotta. You don't necessarily have to love slapstick to get a laugh at this movie because I'm not honestly like a big huge fan of it. Like it's something that me and my brother and my dad bonded over when we were kids. But like as I grew up, I felt
you grew out of it.
I grew out for sure. But I feel like that this movie, that there's not necessarily anything to grow out of. Anybody can watch this movie and laugh at something in it. And like they'll leave and they'll be like, all right, yeah, it was funny. I mean, it's too hard not to laugh at.
Right.
That's what I have to say. So, top secret. This American rock star who loves to sing about skeet shooting. He I think all of his songs.
They're all about skeet shooting.
They're all about
Skeet City.
It's skeet surfing. Skeet surfing is the beginning of the movie, but I'm giving a synopsis. I'm sorry. So this movie is part musical, part spy movie.
It's like an Elvis Presley
or resistance war movie. Yeah, kind of like it is kind of based off of Elvis Presley movies,
which I have never seen.
Val Kilmer. No, I've never, except for a couple of clips.
Yeah.
On TV when they're like trying to sell a box set or something. But anyways, Val Kilmer, star of the movie, his first movie.
Yeah.
He plays Nick Rivers. Yeah, it's his. He did stage stuff before this.
It's crazy.
So you guys out there, you cult fans of Val Kilmer, if you haven't seen this movie, he is really good at it. And honestly, he's doing all the singing. He did a great job.
Yeah, I thought that was crazy.
Yeah,
but I didn't think it was him at first, and then I had to look it up.
Oh, really? Yeah, he's. I
thought it was too good.
One-time Batman for anyone who really does not know. Yeah, it is really good. I mean, it's surprisingly really good, his singing.
Which also one-time Batman, starring before Batman here, obviously, since it's his first movie, with his Alfred. Michael Gough is in the movie, or Gough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's his Alfred in Batman Forever.
You're right. He's the scientist that he meets in prison, Dr. Paul Flamond.
Yeah, who, if I think Leslie Nielsen had been cast, I feel like that would have been the character.
That would have been a good one for him.
But Michael's great too.
Yeah, Michael, had a European accent, so it works. But yeah, anyways, it's set in Eastern Blurlin. Blurlin. So it's somewhere before the wall came down, and in between the Great War and the Second Great War and the wall. But anyways, he's coming over to do some concerts on behest of the government, I suppose, and he then gets into trouble for practically being an American, I guess.
Yeah, he sees a woman.
Yeah. That's a big part of it.
Falls instantly in love.
Very classic 80s movie for that reason.
Right.
Really still happening in movies today, I guess. So.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think he fell in love. He was just like, well, she's cute. I got to talk to her.
Yeah, right. That is
he's just like, oh, she's about to get thrown out of the hotel. Here's my chance.
Yeah.
The restaurant, not the hotel.
Yeah, so he ends up in prison, and meanwhile, I don't know if they are a part of the East Berlin government but I think that they're really trying to portray them as Nazis rather than communists.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, they
anyways,
definitely
they
want
are
Hitler's.
trying to reunite Germany,
Yeah.
and he falls in with the French Resistance, who the girl was a part of,
Yeah.
and why the French Resistance is in East Berlin, I'm not
Don't worry
sure.
about it.
Or yeah, it's somewhere in the movie, I'm sure.
We don't have to know
But
about history at all.
uh, but yeah, I mean that's kind of pretty much what I honestly remember of the movie from
Yeah.
with the one watch that
Yeah, I will
I
say that was another problem was since I knew Airplane, I watched it last because I wanted to see those movies that were more new to me. So I watched
right.
Naked Gun and Top Secret first, and that was about a week ago. So a lot of, since I haven't seen them as much of Airplane, a lot of it's still a little hazy to me because I do think these are movies that they need rewatching, reviews.
Oh yeah, I mean because you
Um,
can't catch everything that
no,
these guys do, and nobody makes movies like this, especially comedies
no, I mean they
like this.
try, they don't have the
Yeah,
heart that these guys had when they
no,
first started.
and they don't have the execution
Yeah,
either. I mean, these guys. I mean, the shots that they've set up, they set up for
yeah.
this thing. Like,
Well, a lot of it's simple too. It's just like,
oh yeah,
but it's just like it's all perspective. They're so good at perspective,
oh yeah,
and it's
for
just
sure.
like there's a moment where there's a phone in the foreground of the shot, and the character that's coming to answer the phone's in the background. And as he gets closer to the phone, you realize that the phone's actually gigantic. It's just, you
And it
think
like
it's,
it reaches from his ear
yeah.
down to the middle of his chest.
And it's just like, because of how they set up the shot, it looks like a normal sized phone when he's walking up to it. But,
Yeah.
the closer he gets, the more you realize it's ludicrous. And
Yes. And so much like that.
they have so many good shots like that. And, but I mean, it's not even just the execution. It's just like, uh, a lot of their jokes are just so simple that you're gonna get them years from now.
Yeah.
A lot of
Um,
newer stuff. They seem to focus on things you're gonna forget. Like
yeah. Honestly, there wasn't that
memes.
much in this movie that I didn't get. Like you said.
Yeah, because
I can't. Yeah, I can't think of anything in particular
they don't spoof
that.
any, or like it's like that's one of my problems with Family Guy. It's like I love Family Guy, but if you don't get the reference, you're not gonna be laughing.
Oh, that's
because
definitely
because
true.
their jokes are so um
They're of the times.
what they're of the times, and it's like the foundation of their entire joke is the reference. Like if you don't know the
Yeah.
reference, you're not going to get the joke. Whereas
Yeah.
here,
And there's
even
a
if you
lot of
don't,
them that definitely right over my
yeah,
head at Family
but here it's like it's joke forward. If you don't know the reference, you're still going to be laughing because it's
Guy.
it's so goofy, it's so slapstick, it's so dumb that it's going to surprise you. You're going to laugh maybe.
Yeah, and then you laugh because you laughed, and it's good.
Yeah, but I feel like whereas Airplane had so many fast and like just everything was thrown at the wall jokes, Top Secret kind of felt like they were holding back a little bit, in my opinion.
It felt like it held. Yeah, I think they were going for like more of a suave feel
Yeah.
for it, because it is kind of this spy resistance movie. At one point, I think he goes into like a concert uh, after he's joined the French resistance, and that's one big where when the one big fight scene happens.
Oh yeah.
I
Which, what
could
a
be
fight
wrong
scene.
about that. It has been about a week for me since I
Yeah.
watched it as well. But it's a I did think it was worth the watch though.
Oh yeah,
Like you said,
definitely.
like that you're gonna laugh at it. And to give it a little bit of a comparison to Airplane, there's basically two sets.
Hmm.
There's the airport and the airplane. Here they go
So many
everywhere.
places. Yeah.
There's so many places.
And
There's
I don't
ballroom
know if it
scenes. And,
well, it's like I don't know if it had like a bigger budget than, I mean, I would assume it did. But it's like
Yeah,
also
I
Airplane
think
was like
maybe.
their first. That was. I mean,
Yeah,
maybe they had another movie before that, like the
I'm not
Kentucky
sure.
Fried movie. I think came before that.
Maybe.
Um, but it's just like it was one of their first. So it's like having two sets and putting out something that
Yeah.
I mean they had more than two sets, but it's like having two main sets and putting out something so
Oh
brilliant.
yeah. I don't think it was a
That's
detriment to the film
no,
at
not at
all.
all.
I
No.
just that it may be being having so many sets to set up
Yeah.
might have kept uh, the punch lines rather,
Yeah.
from hitting so frequently in Top Secret.
And also a lot of the jokes I felt in Top Secret more than Airplane are visual. It's not as reliant on all the dialogue jokes that
Oh, definitely.
Airplane had everything. It had dialogue jokes, it had background, a little bit
Yeah.
of background jokes, the visual gags. But like I feel like Top Secret there's a lot more times where it's exposition. It's kind of
Mhm.
dry. The dialogues, it's kind of bland, but something's going on in the background that's
Yes.
taking the
That.
focus away. And it's like that's funny, but I mean at the same time, I feel like for me, there were moments where I was just kind of drifting. I wasn't paying attention to the jokes because it's something I'll have to watch again on a review, and I'll pick up the background jokes more, and I'll find it probably funnier. But on the first
Yeah.
time, I was my first viewing of it, I was kind of drifting from it.
Yeah. I definitely found myself looking at my phone a couple times during the movie, which is a shame because a lot, like you said, a lot of the gags are in the background
Yeah,
of this movie,
and it's
and for that reason, like it's masterfully executed, I would say.
yeah,
Um,
oh yeah,
like
definitely.
everything
It's
in this movie mattered, which
yeah.
should to modern filmmakers too, but doesn't always.
Yeah, it's like I feel bad for saying that because it's like it is a beautiful, like it's so well done,
Yeah, really.
hilarious. Like I do recommend it to everybody. It's definitely worth your time. But just compared to with that huge obstacle I had to overcome with my childhood, love my nostalgia for Airplane, it didn't really go above and beyond for me. But at the same time, I really did love it, even though I was drifting, and I did look at my phone a
Yeah,
couple times too.
yeah.
Um, but like that third act for me is where it's like it's beautiful. It's like
Uh-huh.
and again also like Val Kilmer throughout the whole thing is just perfect too.
Yeah, it is a
Um,
great performance by him,
yeah,
for sure.
especially for a first movie, like oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And
he
it's
went
like
all out.
yeah, he did. And singing, dancing, he's a lot of fun throughout the entire thing. But I feel like with Airplane, all of the actors, even like uh Kareem
The
Abdul.
ensemble.
Yeah, it's like even Kareem
Oh yes,
Abdul-Jabbar,
yeah,
it's like small characters who aren't like great actors. They perform really well and they deliver their lines really well. Like the casting was
yeah.
perfect there, and here the casting's perfect. Still, everybody's doing a great job in delivering on all fronts. But I feel like
For
for Top
should.
Secret, for Top Secret, I mean,
Hmm.
um, but I feel like it's mostly still Val Kilmer carrying it.
Oh yeah, yeah, you're right. It definitely is him leading it. There's definitely some really fun moments with the French Resistant guys, that
Oh yeah,
ensemble. Um, uh, yeah, and it kind of brings up something that I did want to mention. I kind of touched on it a little bit. There is very like a lot of movies of this era, very little representation of other racial groups other than white people. But there is some representation. But the the only real black character in the movie, his name is Chocolate Mousse,
oh yeah,
and he is hilarious. The character is hilarious, but it does kind of feel like a caricature through our modern lenses.
yeah,
Um, and I feel like all three of these movies kind of do that a little bit.
yeah. I feel like it
And
works better in Airplane though because
it does
Airplane's
work a little bit better.
everybody on that plane are stereotypes of something.
Yes, yeah, no,
It's
they're
like they
all
all
caricatures.
like even the one wife that is just like Jim never has a second cup of coffee at home. You know, it's just like they're all
Jim
they're all
never
just.
vomits at home.
Jim never goes to the bathroom after dinner at home. It's just like, it's like all those characters are stereotypes of something. You know, they're all
Yeah.
pulled from some kind of, cultural joke, or to make a joke out of it. But it's just like where with Top Secret and Naked Gun, it does seem a little bit more, I guess, crude.
Yeah. Yeah. There's definitely some moments in both those films that make you go like, but
Yeah.
you kind of have to remember that this was 40 years ago, almost 35 years ago.
30, yeah.
Airplane was 40 years ago.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
That's crazy to think about, right?
Yeah. But anyhow, I just thought that was worth mentioning as maybe kind of a fair warning when you go into these movies. But you're not going to leave it and feel like, oh, this movie was awful because of this.
There's still some like really great moments.
Definitely.
That third act, there's like a huge climactic action fight scene, and then it leads to an underwater bar fight. Like it's above and beyond. It's great action, and it's so funny nonstop. Like that's the other part with like, I feel like all of these movies had great third acts. Like
definitely.
ZAZ they just did a great job at, it's super funny throughout. It's a compelling story. It keeps you at least invested, and then that third act is just action heavy and still just as hilarious.
Yeah, and like the action isn't like there. The funny thing is that there is a plot in these movies. I think that almost makes them funnier because the plot really isn't that important to you.
No.
When you're finished watching the movie, it's these great gags that you'll remember for the rest of your life.
Right.
Yeah, all three of these movies have stuff like that. You got any closing statements on Top Secret?
I gave my first I gave the first ones on Airplane. Why don't you go ahead with your closing statements?
That's fair. I would say that Top Secret is definitely worth it. I think I have already said that, but lawyers repeat themselves too, so there you go. I would say that it's not necessarily my favorite movie, but I would also say that it's the best comedy that is new to me that I've seen in a while. I'll say that.
That's
sure.
fair.
What are you gonna say?
I would, again, as you said, I would definitely recommend it. Totally worth your time. But for now, in the Rona times, if you're looking for a great comedy, I still say, right now, comparing just these two movies, we'll add Naked Gun soon, but just these two movies, I would say Airplane is still better.
Yeah.
I love Top Secret. I'll definitely watch it again someday. I think it is one of those that I would like to show somebody.
Oh, definitely. Now that I know it's out there, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if only just for the fucking cow joke at the end, like, two guys dressed up in a cow suit walking around in boots. Like,
that's just pretty good.
It's just so
there's
silly.
A lot of boot jokes, actually.
They're crawling and they come up to a pair of boots and they're just like, oh crap, we're caught.
And then it pans up and they're empty.
It's great. It's just like so many good gags. It's very funny. Val Kilmer kills it. Like, if you love Val Kilmer, I highly recommend watching this because it's his first movie and he knocked it out of the park. It's got Omar Sharif being compressed into a car. Like, even if you just want to watch it, like if you love old classic actors doing something silly like Alec Guinness doing Star Wars, like this is just another one of those moments where it's like such an amazing, masterful actor does something kind of belittling to him, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah. But like he does it so well.
Yeah,
character though in particular. His character in particular gets the most shit kicked out of him.
Oh yeah,
throughout the
and
movie.
he's the most serious character too. Like
Yeah.
he's literally just trying. I love it. But he gave it all, and like
Yeah, they all did.
because he's
Yeah,
Omar Sharif. Like yeah, they all did, of course. Yeah, I definitely recommend, but I don't think of the threesome. I don't think it delivered as well as Airplane did.
That's fair. That's fair. I will reserve my judgment for the end.
That's fair. Yopper.
So, Naked Gun. Are we just gonna do a back and forth thing?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we could try. I could try.
All right.
This is the one that's furthest from my memory.
All right. Well, I can help you. I think I remember pretty well.
Yeah, definitely. I remember somewhat. You know, it's I know it's based off of their TV show. The police,
which I didn't know
Squad.
that.
Never watched it.
Till right now. And I don't think that a lot of people who probably really like this movie know that, because that movie, that show that is, failed terribly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they do. Like, if they really like this movie, if they've seen all the sequels, I'm sure they've seen the show that led to it.
They might have.
You know, this movie did really well. I mean, I think Airplane got a sequel.
Airplane did get a sequel. Yeah.
Airplane did. I've seen it because it's the exact same movie but in space. Hate it.
I
mean,
know that.
You know, that was on one watch. So you know, that's unfair of me to say. I mean, you know, I might rewatch it someday and like it more. But I just remember they did like a lot of the same jokes, I think. But I don't know if Top Secret got a sequel. I couldn't think it would. You know, like,
no, I don't think that it wasn't the type of movie that would get a sequel. I wouldn't think.
Yeah.
Like
what would they have done?
Because it was very well concluded at the end, and while so were the other two movies. Honestly, I'm surprised Airplane has a sequel. It was a pretty cut and dry movie, but Naked Gun is definitely set up to where you could do a bunch of shenanigans with these characters.
Yeah, and they did. Like, I think they did 2 sequels or something like that. I remember at least 2 sequels.
One's called Two and a Half.
Yeah, and I think the next one's 33 and a third.
I think you're right.
Yeah. And it's like, I remember watching them all as a kid, and they were... I feel like these movies were too adult for me as a kid because I just don't remember them.
Yeah.
As, you know, watching them as a child, like with Airplane, it was all just like, you know, anybody could watch that and find a laugh somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's the same with Top Secret and Naked Gun. I almost said Top Gun.
I'm sure somebody's gonna find the laugh in there.
Yeah, but it's like I'm sure there was both of them had those moments where anybody can find a laugh, but I feel like a lot of it was more drier, and I feel like I haven't even done the plot synopsis yet. I've just gone into the movie.
That's okay.
Well, I'll get back to the drier part. Let's synopsize. Synapsize. Yeah, so it's based off of the TV show The Police Squad,
which stars
Leslie Nielsen. Yeah, Leslie Nielsen's part of it with O.J. Simpson's in there with them.
Yeah.
Man, I don't even remember a lot of the cast.
I wonder was O.J. in the show, the failed show?
I'm not sure.
I guess I have no idea.
Maybe.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know which one came first, which one. You know, I didn't really research this one that well.
Yeah.
But I still laughed a lot at this one.
I definitely did.
This was the one of the 3 that I was on my phone for the most part of it. Which is sad, but there's still so many great lines. But the Police Squad, they're you know, O.J. Simpson, he stumbled across, was it a drug trafficking?
Something yes, like that. Yes. OJ was, I think he might even was secretly undercover. Like, Police Squad gets to do whatever the hell they want.
He busts down the door and he's just like, Police Squad.
Yeah.
And then they all just churn and shoot him.
But he doesn't just kick down the door. He kicks his foot through the door and then has to pull it out. And then he
see. This is what I'm saying. Like, even though I've already started crapping on this movie, just remember that I'm laughing. It's so funny.
It is really funny.
And then they all shoot him so many times, and he just like he takes forever to die.
Yeah, well, he
And
doesn't
it's just
die.
like,
He,
well, yeah, sorry, he takes forever to leave to
Yeah.
exit the stage.
It is pretty funny. I have to say, for an athlete, a notorious athlete, he didn't do a bad job. He can.
No, well,
He's
yeah,
funny.
I've seen him in some other stuff. You know, he's I can't remember off the top of my head his filmography, but like he's always been a decent actor.
I had no idea. I only know really because of the historical events that he was involved in, his trial.
Mhm. Oh yeah,
And I know that
what he's known
Cuba
for.
Gooding Jr. did a great job playing him.
Hey, yeah. I actually haven't watched that yet.
It's really good. Maybe we'll do that
Yeah, I've heard
sometime.
great things. Yeah, we could.
Um,
But like they're investigating whatever he stumbled upon. Like I feel bad. I've forgotten so much of this movie, and it's not because it's bad. It's just because I've only seen it twice.
right.
The first time was when I was a kid. Second time was about a week ago, and I was not sober when I watched it. So it's like it's still a great movie, but they're investigating that, and they get called to protect the queen when she's coming over
It's so stupid.
for to watch a baseball game. And there's a lot of things that go on. Leslie Nielsen's character is just completely inept, but very lucky.
Yes, very lucky.
And he keeps, this investigation just keeps unraveling as he's trying to protect the queen, but he fails that. He almost gets fired, which has one of my favorite lines, which is very topical today. But it's just like because it's just like, oh, I gotta find it. I wrote it down and made me laugh so much.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I will not deliver it if you want to deliver it.
No, I got it. Yeah, I won't be able to deliver it as deadpan and great as Leslie
Yeah,
Nielsen,
for
of course,
sure.
but he gets fired from the police squad, and he says, "To think, next time I shoot somebody, I could be arrested." And like, that was just one of those things that like I had to pause the movie because I was like, no, not like right now, especially where we're at. It's
not
so topical.
Okay. It's not okay, but it's so fucking
funny. it's not okay, but like it's one of those things that it's like it's not okay, but it's good to point out.
Yeah, it's social, but I think for them it was a social commentary. It's like
it was just funny.
Yeah. It's like they were probably harking to the fact that why do we let these guys carry around guns? And
especially the police squad.
Yeah, the police squad. Yeah, they I don't think they have to file paperwork. They just can do whatever they want.
No.
It is funny. I have to say, way more potty humor than the other two movies.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Way
very
more.
Crass.
Yeah, and it's like, it for me it was like you did so much with these other two movies without going there. Why do you need to have him piss? I'm laughing about it right now as I'm complaining about it. He pisses for like 3 minutes. Which, I mean, I've held it a long time before. But it's like he does it over the microphone, and that's obviously why it's supposed to be funny. And it was funny at first, but then it just went on forever. I was like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I feel like that was the thing with this movie too, is a lot of the jokes that they do kind of just go on a little too long for me.
Yeah.
Like when he's the ump at the game, and they stay on that for quite a while, where it is funny at first.
That's most of the third act.
Yeah, it's just like he's just calling all the bad. He's just a terrible ump.
He's
calling balls strikes. Like all he wants to do is get the crowd's attention. And he's living it up. He's loving it. They're all cheering for him whenever he calls strikes and strikes people out, and he's dancing.
He totally forgets he's there to protect the queen.
Yeah, totally. And and it's funny the first like 30 seconds of it. And then they just kept going for it. And like I don't know how long the scene is. It's probably actually only 30 seconds, but it's like it
I don't know. I
felt
think it was
long
longer
to
than
me.
that. It did feel like a
Yeah.
long time.
And they do that, and I feel like there's one joke in particular that they got perfect, and how many times they did it, and that was his inability to stop the damn car. Like no matter where
Yes.
he pulls up, he slams on the brakes and hits something.
He sure
You know, he
does.
cannot stop the car without hitting an object, and you know they don't overdo it. It pops up like maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe only 3 even, but like
Yeah, that's
it's
a
just
good
it's
joke. That's all
hilarious.
it needs.
Yeah, it's hilarious when it happens, and they don't put it back to back. They don't overdo it. They spread it out. It's funny, but then there's other jokes that just kind of just go on.
So, the Naked Gun. Um, it I do think that it's worth mentioning because I thought he had a really good performance. Was the villain? The villain's name is Vincent Ludwig. Uh, I
Mm-hmm.
I believe I'm getting
Ricardo
that.
Montalban?
Yes, yes. I hope.
Was it Ricardo
Yes,
Montalban?
that's right.
I think so.
And I'm not really too familiar with this actor's work personally, but he did a
I
good
just
job.
remember him being a joke in. Yeah, I think he was a joke in that '70s show.
Oh, was he? I do that kind of rings a
Yeah.
bell now that you say that.
I think they said something about Fez being like Ricardo
Oh,
Montalban, and like I did not. I love that '70s show. It's one of my favorite shows, and like I just did not get the
yeah,
joke. So that was one of those that I just had to look it up and be like, yeah, I don't know, but I
yeah.
get it
Get
now.
it now.
So now I do know.
uh,
I know him
so,
slightly. I'm sure I've seen a lot of his work
well,
too.
since that show was based in the '70s, obviously, he must have been doing
Yeah.
stuff in the '70s that we're just not aware of. I honestly have not seen that many '70s movies. I definitely know that's a period that I have
Yeah.
not.
Well, it's like I'm certain I've seen a lot of his movies, and I
Oh
just
yeah,
don't know
and
his
just
name.
didn't recognize it. Sure,
Yeah.
but he did
I'm bad. I'm bad at like
a
knowing.
great job because so we talked about how Leslie is always deadpan. I honestly
Yeah.
feel like he's a little less deadpan in this. He's a little more winky winky
Yeah, he's
in
still
this one.
you're starting to see what he's become
Yeah,
nowadays in this
yeah.
movie, I
Well, I
think.
think
Because it's like
he
nowadays you see him in the spoof comedies and they just like
he did pass, I
I don't know.
believe. Um,
Yeah, I mean like but it's just like
just his later
like the
films.
mid 2000s to mid, 2010s.
Yeah, he,
Like the scary movies when he's in
which
those.
son? Yeah,
Yeah, it's just like he's no longer really deadpan anymore. He's now just kind of quirky and goofy. And
yeah.
I think you start seeing that here in Naked Gun definitely.
Um, yeah, I definitely it definitely kind of feels that way, and I don't know if like he's getting a little more bored with it, or if he's just having more fun with it. He might just be having more fun with it, and it
Yeah.
is a completely. If we're just going to compare these two roles, it's a completely different character than the Doctor. The
Oh yeah,
Doctor,
definitely.
like, and maybe that's a good thing. And I know a lot of people love this movie,
Hmm.
um, but
I do enjoy it.
yeah, I had a good time. I would say, but personally, I think I will go ahead, unless you have more to say a closing statement on this.
No, yeah, I can't. Um, there was one other joke I did want to mention that had me
Yeah, go ahead.
rolling. Um,
Mhm.
I feel like that's the other key factor for me too is like what jokes did I just had like paused the movie with, and it's
Uh-huh.
like there were plenty in Airplane when I was a kid that I had to pause it. Like nowadays I can just watch it and just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Top Secret I definitely had to pause a few times and like you know rewatch a couple of those jokes.
Hmm.
Um, like when he calls the submarine with the magnet, like I had to rewatch that entire scene. It was so funny. Just it's so funny because it's just like, oh, is this how this magnet works? Yes, it can draw any large ship nearby. Wow, and he's just like touching the machine and he hits one very obvious button And he's just like, the doctor's like, oh, son of a. Submarine just comes plowing through. It's like, yeah, I had to pause and rewatch those kind of jokes. But with Naked Gun, there was only two jokes that I had to, two that I can remember that I had to pause and rewatch. And it was the cop joke. I had to stop it for that and laugh a little while. And then there was when Leslie Nielsen's getting like some spy equipment, and he gets like a tranquilizer dart. I think it was a watch that shoots tranquilizer darts, and the scientist is like showing him how it works, and he shoots Leslie's friend, and like shoots him in the neck, and the guy's like, Ted, why? And just falls down.
Yes. Because he didn't do it on accident. He aimed and was like, this is how it works.
This is exactly how this tranquilizer dart works. Ted, why? Bam. So good.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I feel like that's probably the ideal framing of the kind of gags and shenanigans that would happen in the show, which I honestly am kind of really curious about this show.
Yeah.
I think I feel like knowing that this is based off of a show, I could stand the jokes in a smaller portion better.
Yeah.
I think that I after a while I kind of got a little bored with it, which didn't really happen with Airplane. So then I guess for closing statements, if I'm going to say the Naked Gun is worth your time, more than your modern day spoof movies, I would say. But I honestly, I think it kind of fell a little bit flat for me, especially compared to the other two. But I did enjoy watching it.
I can agree with that. I think I definitely agree with it being better in more modern spoof movies. I mean, early ZAZ is like pristine slapstick spoof. Like,
they were trying really hard, and we can appreciate it because it paid off.
But I feel like, and maybe it was just my state of mind. Maybe it's just that it's older, but I feel like whereas Top Secret and Airplane delivered plots that were still interesting and invested, like I was able to be invested into it while making me laugh. I really just don't remember much of Naked Gun's plot. It's like I really enjoyed it, but here we are a week later, and I can remember just bits and pieces of it, and I do remember laughing silly at a lot of it. Like it is, I do think it is worth your time, especially if you do like the other ZAZ films.
Oh yeah, if you're a big ZAZ fan, Zucker, Abrams, and Zucker fans, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even if you just like the scary movies, like if you've only ever watched like scary movies or similar spoof films like that, then I say go back to the 80s and watch these three films. Like they're definitely worth it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's very obvious where I'm at. I think Airplane is the one that delivers the most to the threesome. It's got it knows all the right spots to touch. It's got the perfect rhythm. It's got everything for everybody involved. It pleasures everyone.
Everyone, especially Otto, is pleased.
Especially Autopilot.
Well, I think, in closing, you're right. I think I would agree with you. If you're gonna strike two of these movies off your list and just go for one, go for Airplane.
If you're gonna invite any of these members back to another threesome, if you're gonna have another threesome some night where you're gonna do some slapstick comedy, you're gonna want to have a good ensemble crew there. And I mean, honestly, I would say that both Top Secret and Airplane are, I would invite them back to my next
Yeah,
threesome.
I would invite both of them back. You're right. Yeah. I totally would. I honestly, I was tempted to say Top Secret, but all in all, I think it is more of a rhythm thing, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
Airplane just keeps on punching, and
Just
it's
keeps
so
going.
fast. But goddamn, Top Secret is worth it.
If just for Val Kilmer.
If just for Val Kilmer, that's true.
It's so beautiful.
But they all do very good. I guess one thing to say about it, I did already go into talk about representation, but also female representations.
Mm-hmm.
Not the greatest, even though there are some great female actors in
I
this,
feel
and
like
they do great. It's just
yeah.
the way the script's written, and that's
I
how
feel like
scripts were
Airplane
written
has the
forever.
strongest. Airplane has the strongest of
You're right.
the. Well, it's like let's see the main because it's like each of them have their female lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
They don't really have many. I'm trying to think of like supporting female characters in those movies, and I remember a lot in
There's not
Airplane.
that many. I
There's
think that really she might be the only real female character in Top Secret.
in Top Secret, yeah, and
I can't recall another woman that was important to
yeah,
the plot.
and Naked Gun had like Queen Elizabeth and some other people, but like
Right. That they were
they're
kind of
minor.
more like figureheads.
Yeah, and it's like theirs was also just the one, the love interest of Leslie Nielsen's character.
Right. Jane.
But like Airplane, Elaine, played by Julie Haggerty, she's a pretty strong character.
Yeah, and
she flies
also
the planet time. She keeps her cool. It's
and
like
also the other flight attendant. She
yeah,
does some pretty good things.
yeah,
And you know what? I think it's kind of also kind of a testament to the flight attendant
yeah.
class. Those people, in a situation, they're pretty good. They're
They do a
trained to
lot.
be pretty
Yeah.
good.
They do a
Yeah,
lot and they get ignored a lot.
they
Way
sure
to go,
do, and people
stewards.
shit on them. They do.
Thank you, flight attendants.
Yes, thank you, flight attendants.
Serious.
Well, I think that is going to be all for us.
Yeah. We'll come
Thanks
back
for
hopefully
listening.
maybe come back in the next week. I don't know when we're gonna air this,
Yeah,
so maybe we
yeah.
shouldn't put dates on the end of them.
Well, we're not going to put any dates on this. We might talk about what's happening outside in the world, and that'll
Yeah.
date it. But
Yeah, we have some ideas of other styles of what we want to talk about. We'll have other
right.
threesomes coming your way. We
But
love
it's
we love a
definitely
good
going to
threesome.
be about viewable media.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like to use your eyeballs to entertain yourself, and you want to know what is out there that is worth your time, join us next time for Green and Faceless on the Couch.
Thank you
I'm
all.
Faceless
Love you.
Leone, and you are the
Sorry.
Green Traveler.
I'm the Green Traveler. I talked over you. Sorry with the internet.
That's okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Love you all. Have a good night. Bye.
Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of Fiction Works 19. It is our intent to publish new episodes each Thursday evening. If you enjoyed the show or wish to make a suggestion, feel free to leave us a comment. Good night.